Welcome into Midday. This is a live look at our storm wrangler as we're looking at those current conditions.
I'm going to go ahead and take over here as we do have a new tornado warning that has been issued for eastern Bell County, making its way into Falls right now. Josh, what's the latest on that? And give us an update. It's going to be right here, right on the Bell County line, making its way into Falls County right now.
Yeah, we do have a new tornado warning, as you said, issued for Bell, Falls, Milam, and Robertson County. That's till 11:45 this morning. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located 8 miles northeast of Rogers or 12 miles northwest of Cameron, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and take a look at the velocity map and see what's showing up. It's still very broad.
Yeah, it'd be right in here.
Yeah, it's going to be right in there where you're saying. Let me go ahead and take the rotation marker and show you what that looks like, where it is, and it's basically going to be right there
on the county line.
On the county lines. Bell, Falls, Milam County, your county line right there is where it looks like that is.
So Josh has been talking about this warm front, and it's really close to the warm front right now. It's moving off to the east-northeast, so it's going to be flirting with the boundary. So does this tighten up, or does this stay just broad enough not to produce a tornado? But the Weather Service seeing this tightening up right here, and again, it is near the boundary. So if you live in Rosebud, we need you to go ahead and take your tornado precautions. This is moving pretty quickly off to the east-northeast at about 40 miles per hour. So
35 to be exact.
35?
Yes.
So let's put the storm track on there. And let's see what Rosebud has for you there on the times. It does appear that it'll be there about 11:13. It's 11:01 right now. So, again, we do have that potential for a tornado. It's potential as of right now. It is radar indicated, but we do have meteorologist Caleb Chevalier, who's working down in the storm wrangler, who's going to be coming down Highway 6 here. So as this approaches you folks in the Reagan area, we'll have an eye on that as they continue off toward the southeast. But it's this one right here. Looks like Reagan around 11:38. We have a lot of the markers as well along with the city, so you know exactly what time this will be heading your way. But it's a pretty quick mover, and we have lower visibilities today. It is going to be hard to see anything because of the low clouds that are out in front of these thunderstorms. So you may not see anything until it's right up on you. So don't try to go out and see this, as it may be obscured by rain and low clouds as that makes its way through. But again, it has tightened up, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued until 11:45 as that makes its way off toward the northeast. So again, if you live anywhere along Highway 53 in western Falls County up to Rosebud, that's where we need you to take your tornado precautions. Put as many walls between you and the outside. Get into an interior room. Stay away from windows. Pillows and blankets are good. I know that school is in Rosebud right now, and of course all across central Texas. So Rosebud ISD, Rosebud Lot, you need to be taking your tornado precautions right now as that continues to work its way off toward the east-northeast into Falls County. And again, it is right on that boundary, so we're going to have to watch it. It could spin up pretty quickly. Also, there could be a hail threat with this. We could have quarter-size hail and maybe some pocket change size hail associated with it as well as it makes its way to the northeast. But right now, the tightest rotation is right here on the Bell and Falls County line, just about 3 miles south of Highway 53. That will be working its way off toward the northeast. So again, that's what we're watching the most. Also, very heavy rain will be with this, and we may have the potential for some flash flooding with this as it continues to work its way off toward the northeast. But again, we're going to continue to track that as it makes its way into western and southwestern parts of Falls County. As of right now, I think this would stay south of Marlin, but again, these things can go in erratic motion, so we'll just have to wait and see. So it could go up to the north, it could go off to the east. So anywhere southern half of Falls County near Rosebud, that's where we're going to have that potential. You can see that hook. We've been tracking this hook. It's looked really good on radar for a long time. It's just been elevated. Now it's starting to lower just a little bit. Do you have a temperature map or anything that we can see there, Josh?
I'm going to attempt to, but your nearest sensor is going to be Cameron. So let me see if I can.
Let's just see where the warm air and the cooler air separate. Again, it's probably right on that boundary. 69 degrees in Cameron, 72 in Hearn. So yeah, that warm front's beginning to lift through here. So as this thunderstorm continues in this general direction, it is generally going to be following that boundary. So that's why we likely have the tornado warning in effect. Waco, you're well behind the boundary. Temple, you're well behind the boundary. Same for Killeen. And there are thunderstorms approaching from the west. So as that blows through, that will blow the warm front away from us. So I think from I-35 to the west, your tornado threat is quite low. If you head farther to the southeast, this is where your tornado potential is going to be high for this evening and going through the afternoon. Right here across areas southeast of Waco, down toward Bryan College Station, that's where we're going to have the highest potential. We do have heavy rain moving through Killeen currently and Bell County, but again, this is going to be just more heavy rain, maybe some small hail associated with that. Also, this thunderstorm here across northern parts of Bell going into eastern Coryell, that's going to move toward Waco. Small hail, gusty winds, heavy rain will be associated with that. Now 11:05. So by noon, it looks like it's going to be a rough lunch. So you may want to keep lunch inside for today, as it's just going to be kind of wet and a lot of heavy rain. There you go with our signature right here, just southwest of Rosebud. So I'm going to put my finger right here. Let's go to the velocity products once again. And again, it's that little area of rotation. Any updates there from the Weather Service, Josh?
Yeah, they're just saying that the rotation looks to stay north of the Milam County line. So this is mainly a Falls County situation they're looking at here at this time. I wouldn't let my guard down if you live in Burlington or back over towards Ben Arnold there along 77 in Milam County. But at this point, it looks like the core of this will be heading towards Rosebud. There's the newest scan, Matt. Still really murky, but it's possible that maybe we're getting a little bit more inflow showing up now, coming up here north of Burleson there to the southwest of Rosebud.
Yeah, we're just going to have to see exactly. Man, that is murky. So
I'm going to do something, and I'm going to raise the angle of the radar just a hair and see if that does anything. So bear with me.
Raise it up just a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm going to try storm relative.
Storm relative. Again, some strong winds. We're going to get strong winds no matter what. Blowing out of this thunderstorm could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. So regardless if we have a tornado or not, 60-mile-per-hour winds will definitely be a possibility as this thing continues off toward the northeast. But it is right now still broad rotation from what I am seeing. But I do think for Milam County, this is going to stay north of the Milam County line. I know you're in the polygon here, but I do think a lot of this is going to be up closer to the Rosebud area, just inside the Falls County line there. And again, we're going to continue to bring that off toward the northeast. Let's go to our hail tracker real quick, see what our hail is looking like with this. And we probably do have some hail moving toward Rosebud. Maybe quarter-size hail, could be slightly larger in a few locations, but you probably will get some hail in and around Rosebud as this continues down 53 and toward Highway 77. So folks in Rosebud, some rain, then some hail, then the possibility of some strong winds associated with that, and the possibility of a tornado as that continues to work its way to the northeast. The area of rotation is still pretty broad as of right now, but it could tighten up. It's right there on the boundary. It could tighten up at any time, and that's why the tornado warning has been issued. I am not seeing a signature. Remember last week when we were looking at Copper's Cove and it was just right together? I'm not seeing that on this on Highway 53, but again, all it has to do is tighten up just a touch more, and we get the potential for a tornado out of this. So there could be at least some rotating wall clouds with this, maybe a funnel cloud. And there's a lot of low clouds out ahead of this, so you're going to see a lot of spinning in the clouds no matter what. And that's probably going to be some false reports we're going to see throughout the day as well, just because the cloud bases are so low to the ground. But right in here, just to the west of Rosebud, looks like we do have that. It could be occluding a little bit right here. Let's put this into motion, see if that hook has moved more up into the parent of the storm. Let's slow down a little bit.
Well, no, I'm slowing down here.
Okay.
There you go.
So again, the rotation part may be occluding just a little bit. What I mean by that is it's starting to wrap up where we are seeing the cooler air starting to come around, and that would cut off the main inflow. But we do have this part of the storm, and that could at very least produce some very strong winds moving toward Highway 77. So 60-plus mile-per-hour winds definitely a possibility with this thunderstorm as it makes its way off toward the east. But again, Still enough of an indication as currently to where we have a tornado warning in effect for Falls County until 11:45. You need to take your tornado precautions there in Rosebud, and especially the school children in school there as well. So go ahead and do that as that makes its way off toward the east-northeast. No, it's a scary situation, but no visual sightings of a tornado just yet. We have meteorologist Caleb Chevalier. He is out in the 25 Storm Wrangler right now. Caleb, I know you're still to the north of this, probably pretty murky where you are, but what are you seeing and where are you headed?
Well, we're in the Perry area right now and headed south. Yeah, on the 6th there, we're headed out towards Marlin, and hopefully not going to become a core punch situation, but we're going to try to beat this cell before it gets across the road and hopefully get into the Reagan area so we can get a better eye on it for you. The rain that just came through Hallsburg and Riesel is what we had to contend with, and it's even heavier than what the radar would suggest. So if you're headed out to any of these pockets, the rain is torrential in some of these places, so visibility very poor, and now we're in a bit of a better spot. But again, I imagine if we get a good look at the base of this thing later, you're still going to only have a shot of seeing it from a very close vantage point. Everything is, like you said, so murky today, not just from the velocity standpoint, but I'd use the word murky to describe this as well. But we're going to see if we can get our best eyes on it, and we're headed out to Reagan to try to beat it. And of course, if we see anything else, we'll make sure to let you guys know.
All right, so at the very least, looks like we're going to have that strong thunderstorm moving through the southern half of the area. That's where Caleb is right now on the radar, just north of Marlin. He'll continue down Highway 6 and then eventually be between Reagan and Bremond, where that thunderstorm is going to be crossing Highway 6. And you saw the visibilities out there. They're low, so it's going to be interesting to see what you can see once this starts to pull more toward the northeast. It does look like it's filled in just a little bit where the hook was, and very heavy rain. So even if there's anything, you're probably not going to be able to see much with the visibility there, as it looks like that a new cell has just popped up right there on the south side of that. So if there's still any rotation left, it's going to be rain wrap for anything. So don't go outside, try to see this. Rosebud, still be taking your tornado precautions right now. Hopefully this will lessen just a little bit, but I know the Weather Service keeping a close eye. I know we're watching the rotation, and Josh is doing that as well. Josh, go through that.
Yeah, we are watching where that rotation is, and at least one point, this rotation just does not look as tight as it did, Matt. I'm looking on it off screen, and it almost looks like we're seeing some outflow take that over and cut it off from the warm air, which is good news. We'll go to velocity here, show you where at least the area, and notice, really, I'm just going to roll this back the last few frames. Notice how the reds and the greens were closer together. Yeah, it was murky. You had this purple in the way, but it was closer together. Now, you just really aren't seeing the deep reds or the deep greens that are showing up either. So I think at least for the moment, cooler air has come out ahead of this storm and cut that off. That doesn't mean you can't get a new area of rotation develop out ahead of it. That would be closer to the Burlington community than Rosebud. So northern Milam still not completely out of the woods, but at least at this point, it does look like that tornado threat is lessening at the current time. Notice it was real open, getting all that warm air in it back here at 11 o'clock. Roll it to where we are now, closer to 11:15, and it's just not near as defined. You don't see that defined hook that you did. Still a healthy storm, still very healthy. In fact, look at the lightning on it, and the lightning is just horrendous right over Rosebud. So a sign that you still have that updraft pulling in a lot of warm, moist air, building that charge in the storm, and it's still healthy. It's just at this point, the lower levels are not rotating as much as, say, the mid-levels of this storm are.
I think if this storm was 10 to 15 miles farther south,
100%,
we would be dealing with a much different story than what we're seeing right now. So hopefully, again, this goes until 11:45. Hopefully this will allow to be canceled if this trend continues, but we will continue with the severe thunderstorm warning as well. But the tornado warning remains in effect. That's why in Rosebud, we still want you to take your tornado precautions. If you're anywhere across southern and southeastern parts of Falls County between Highway 77 and 6, we want you to go ahead and continue your tornado precautions as well. So that's going to be in this general range right here. Marlin is up here. So Marlin is right here. So this is going to be south of Marlin, south of Highway 7. So if you live north of Highway 7 in Falls County, don't worry about this one. Yeah, you have some heavier rain, but it looks like the supercell part of this is down toward the south, and we'll track this as it makes its way off toward the northeast. Again, Rosebud, it's right on top of you, and then it will continue toward Reagan at 11:35, Hammond at 11:45, Bremond at 11:48, and this is where we're hoping to get meteorologist Caleb Chevalier down here between Reagan and Bremont to get more of a visual on this thunderstorm as it works in. And what these supercells do is they like to cycle, and I think that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing a cycle of our thunderstorm. So we've seen decreasing rotation. It's filled in, but there could be another part that tries to develop a little farther to the south. So this could start to hook on us closer to the Milam County line, Robertson County line. So we'll be watching that. And that's a little bit closer to the boundary here. Also some strong wind. No matter what, we're probably going to get some good wind out of this, up to 50 to 60 miles per hour. Could get a little wind-blown hail associated with it as well. The hail tracker has been showing at least quarter-size hail with this. So get away from those west-facing windows just in case some of that wind blows that into the windows. And it does appear that the hail core, again, is from Rosebud down to the county line near Burlington. And some of that could be up into that coin size. Again, quarter-size hail will be possible with that. Looks like Rosebud, you're probably looking at the dime size, maybe Burlington as well. So it's going to pass right in between the goalposts there on Highway 77 between Rosebud and Burlington and continue to make its way. So I do think that's going to be the new core that's developing here. The old core was up here. The new core is developing farther to the south, closer to the boundary. And you can see it's filled in on the north side. Let's go back to a little reflectivity. So again, it's filled in up here just a little bit. Now this could be our new hooks trying to develop here on the south side of this. And so we'll be watching from Rosebud right along the county line as it makes its way to the northeast. But Josh, I'm just not seeing that rotation as of right now. Maybe some wind though.
Yeah, I'm really not either. And I'm looking on that south end just to see if we see any inflow starting to pick up there, because it's getting a little bit of a shape to it that's signifying that we could have the gustier winds wrapping around that old circulation and potentially moving out ahead of it. I'm also watching for subtle little things in velocity to see if we can pick out that boundary, but nothing's really screaming at me showing that boundary. That's also why I was adjusting the sensitivity of this radar a bit. I think that boundary is still south of it as of now. Of course, it can catch up to it. We've seen that happen before, and if it catches up to it, like you said, it's probably going to be closer to northern Milam County as opposed to the Rosebud area. You see down the bottom corner of the screen, that's the view from our 25 Storm Wrangler. Again, that is going to be heading into the Marlin area here soon, and then eventually further down Highway 6 to try to intersect this storm closer to the Bremond area. I want to also mention, Matt, I know we have this tornado warning, but if you're in Bell County right now, you already saw this storm move through. In this case, though, we also have a flash flood warning that includes all of Bell County. You had a lot of rain as the storm moved through, and you still have a lot of rain down towards the Salado area and in Killeen, so likely going to still be dealing with that flooding threat. And you won't even just get a flooding threat there in Bell County, but also pretty much anywhere this storm tracks, because it's such a heavy rain producer. Our clouds are loaded with a lot of moisture, and that is going to be another threat we have to monitor. But again, that tornado warning does continue there for Falls County. Matt, we'll look at the latest little frame here, see if we're seeing anything. Nothing's jumping out to me just yet. It may be opening up a little bit more there again, closer to Rosebud. See that last frame? It's kind of curling a bit more.
Right into Rosebud.
Pretty much.
Right now. So you can see it's a little bit of a bow right there. So it's pretty breezy at Rosebud right now. And we have that thunderstorm rolling on through. Still take your tornado precautions as we still have that warning in effect. Officially until 11:45, we'll see if the Weather Service keeps that or not as it continues off toward the northeast. But we've seen a lessening trend with the tightening of this and the rotation that has been making its way into Falls County. But it's starting to take that shape once again. Maybe trying to get some inflow just to the north of Rosebud. So again, cycling thunderstorm with this. It may try to repeat this over and over again. And as it gets farther east-northeast, it's going to get closer to the boundary. So this could strengthen even more as it makes its way over toward Robertson County and southern parts of Limestone, and then continuing off toward the east from there. So this is probably going to be the one to watch, not just now, but over the next few hours as this works its way from here all the way to probably southern Freestone, northern and Leon as this works through by early afternoon. So that's going to be the main one. We'll have more back to the southwest as well, and that could impact you folks in the Brazos Valley. You can see more thunderstorms developing back near Georgetown. This will eventually work its way through, and also the cells out ahead, and we'll have to watch those for quick spin-ups here from Bryan College Station through Centerville. Nothing that has reached severe levels as of yet, but we will have to watch these out ahead as that potential will exist. So there's your tornado warning storm. This one's been going since Johnson City, even before that. So this is a sustained supercell. Thankfully, it's been on the north side of the warm front the whole time. If this warm front was 20, 30 miles farther north, we would probably be looking at a long track tornado with this, but thankfully it has not done that as of yet, and hopefully it won't, but we're here to let you know just in case we happen to get that quick spin up here. I want to go to McLennan County real quick, see if the rain is moving into there, and it is. So very heavy rain now moving into McLennan. Nothing that is classified as severe, but I think small hail, gusty winds, heavy rain. This will continue through the lunchtime hour. So we will have some ponding on the roadways. Wouldn't be surprised to at least get a flood advisory out of this over the next 30 minutes or so. Main line making its way into McGregor right now. Crawford there on 317. This will continue to move in. Nothing tornadic with this, nothing severe, mainly just probably a hail, gusty wind, and it looks like very heavy rain threat moving there. Temple, you're about to get doused with more heavy rain. Salado, you're in the middle of it right now down to Jarrell. That rain is probably falling about at 1 to 2 inches per hour. Loves to flood around Salado. Loves to flood around parts of Temple as well. Killeen, you're on the back edge of the heavier rain. I think this is going to move through rather quickly for you, and there's not much behind it. So hopefully the heavier rain threat in western Bell County lowering just a bit. You're not in the flash flood warning in Killeen, but farther east you are, as all these cells were merged together. So there's that flash flood threat. Again, for McLennan, could be a lower end threat, but still some ponding on the roadways, urban flooding, and a flash flood warning for you though there in eastern Bell County, the eastern 2/3. And it looks like they just updated the tornado warning there. So let's get the latest on that.
Here we go. We've now had it trimmed a little bit more there. Again, good news. We want to see that. Trying to see from the Weather Service what that says. Not seeing an update from that. That warning officially going through 11 o'clock includes Falls, Milam, and Robertson County. Bear with me. My scroller decided to mess up. Let's see the text on that. Severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado located over Rosebud or 14 miles north of Cameron, moving northeast at 35 miles per hour. Potential is there for radar indicated rotation, which means we may have the potential for a possible tornado with that. So we are watching that closely, Matt. Again, we'll go back to velocity, and it's still extremely murky. So at least the lowest levels of that storm is struggling to rotate right now, which is good news, but still have that upper level part of the storm that is potentially rotating as well, and we'll see if that mixes down. That's why the tornado warning is still in effect. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning because, Matt, not only is this a tornado warning or a potential for a tornado with this storm, but also hail up to the size of, I believe, quarters with this, as well as winds to 60. So there's a lot of threats this storm has, in addition to a potential flooding threat there. Even though there's no flash flood warning for Falls County, those roads do not like to drain well. So that heavy rain is likely causing flooding somewhere near Lott, Rosebud, possibly over towards High Bank and Reagan too.
All right, so Rosebud, again, stay in your protected place as of right now. I really do think this is going to be more of a wind event than a tornadic event. But remember, tornadoes are wind, straight line winds are wind, wind is wind, wind can still do damage, whether it's coming straight at you or rotating. So at the very least, getting those strong winds moving through Rosebud right now. Could be 60 miles per hour, could be a little stronger than that. And it looks like that the strongest winds probably now moving just east of Rosebud, east of Highway 77. That will continue to work its way off toward the east. But again, this thunderstorm's trying to get the main circulation closer and closer to the ground, but it's struggling as of right now because it's in the cooler air. Temperatures are in the 60s where this thunderstorm is. Again, if it was 15 miles farther southeast, it's in the 70s, and that's where the warmer air is, and I think this thing would be doing a lot more. So thankfully, it's still just on the cooler side of the boundary for us. Usually we don't deal with warm fronts here, but today is a warm front day, and wherever that warm front is, if a storm can find that boundary, that's where it's going to spin up. and that's just to the southeast of where this storm is. So if you are in the Brazos Valley, you're in play for a higher risk of severe weather this afternoon than, say, Waco, Temple, Killeen, where thunderstorms are blowing through right now. And I think that's going to carry the warm front a little farther to the east. And hopefully we won't see as severe weather in Waco, Temple, Killeen. But southeastern counties, this is the day where we really have to watch you. And that supercell thunderstorm, again, this one's been going.
I've got to wonder, Matt, if it's trying to wrap just a bit more there south of Rosebud. See how it's kind of closing in just a bit there?
Right there. So
I'm wondering about that.
So it's one of those things you just have to watch, as these are just going to be cycling over and over again. It's, like I said, trying to get that rotation closer to the ground, but it's been stuck in the mid layers of the atmosphere. That's great. That's where we want it to be. Yeah, it can produce some hail. It can still get you some strong winds, but it hasn't made its way all the way to the surface just yet. So I know that they're crossing in our storm wrangler here through Marlin. They're going to try to get down Highway 6 and look back into this thunderstorm. Should be in a good position here in the next 20 to 30 minutes as this approaches you folks in Reagan and Bremond. I think that's the two main cities we're going to have to watch here over the next 30 minutes to 45 minutes as this continues off toward the northeast.
It looks like he's coming in between Reagan and Marlin now, so we should get a pretty good view. He's very close to Farm Road. No, he's right in Reagan right now, so we should get a good view here soon.
Good. So just go ahead and text him. Tell him to get right there on the Robertson and Falls County line. They're on Highway 6. And that rain will lift out of there, and they'll hopefully get a pretty good view of this, and we'll start to get a view from our storm wrangler of exactly what's happening in the lower parts of this thunderstorm. Right now, we're just relying pretty much solely on radar. Visibility is really bad out there. Anyway, you have a lot of low clouds even ahead of this, so it's going to be really hard to see back into these thunderstorms. But there's the brand new scan coming in. And again, I'm seeing more of a wind threat, straight line wind threat, than I am seeing a tornado threat as of right now. Let's go to the velocity products, see if we have any tightening in this area just east of Bremond.
It's looking real murky still.
Yeah, so again, stronger winds blowing through here. I'm not seeing the tight rotation with this thunderstorm as it makes its way off toward the east. So that's good news. That's the way we want this to stay. But it's close to the boundary, so quick spin up. I think that's why the Weather Service is allowing this tornado warning to continue, just in case we happen to get one of those quick spin ups with this thunderstorm as it makes its way closer to the county line here with Robertson, far northern Milam, and then eventually over into southern parts of Limestone.
Taylor's trying to get to this road right here, Matt. So 1373 goes down to Rosebud. So I'm wondering if he needs to be just a bit further south than that, but at least down that far, I think that would give him a good view too.
Yeah, but I don't want him to lose. This thing's moving at 40 miles per hour, so
yeah,
got to have that east route too. So I'd go
to Bremond, right?
Road to Bremond, yeah. So you can at least get east with this thunderstorm with that. So that's lifting off toward the northeast. We are watching this hook just a little bit, but it has had the potential to produce a tornado. It's just really hard to get that main circulation to the ground since temperatures are in the 60s where this is. We don't have a lot of low-level cape where this is either. What does that mean? That means energy to really get things wrapped up there closer to the surface. We have cape aloft, and that energy aloft, but we don't have it right there at the surface right now. That's a little farther to the south. But if this were to jaunt more eastbound and take more of a right turn than going off to the northeast, it would find that boundary quicker. But right now it's not doing that, and we hope it just continues to make its way off toward the northeast and stays just on the north side of that boundary. We showed you it's already in the mid-70s in Bryan College Station, and that warmer air will continue to feed up into here. So that warm front's going to be very close once it gets to especially around Bremond area, and then making its way to the northeast from there, as the latest scan showing that probably Rosebud, you're probably getting out of the main wind hail threat as of now, as this thunderstorm is now making its way to the east. Now you're still going to have the heavier rain threat that goes through Bell County. That's probably going to last for a while, so flash flooding will be possible. This is now east of Rosebud. So we should get an update in that polygon very soon, taking Rosebud out of the main part of this tornado warning. And here's the latest as this continues to make its way northeast. Reagan at 11:42, so it's 11:28 right now. So you still have some time to watch this. Hammond at around 11:45, Bremond at 11:49 as that continues there. And we also put your landmarks on there. You can see chapels, churches, and high schools. So this is the track of this as of now. If the tornado warning continues, you need to start taking your tornado precautions as we get closer to these times for you as it makes its way off toward the east. So again, in and around Bremond, watch this one very closely. Marlin, you're in heavy rain right now, but the main circulation is well down to the south of you. So this is not really into the Marlin area. And then back toward Lott, you aren't in the main threat right now. And Rosebud, you are now getting out of the main threat. So this is going to be across rural sections of southeastern Falls County, possibly getting into far, far northern Milam, into far northern parts of Robertson. That's where Bremond is. And then continuing right along the county line here, kind of paralleling Highway 79 as that works its way off toward the east-northeast. I know we've had some power outages associated with this. Let's head on over for that.
All righty, thank you, Matt. Taking a quick break to look at those power outages. This is the live Encore map, and of course, it's been updating over the few hours that we've been in this threat. Earlier, the Waco area had more than 2,000 customers impacted. Right now, it's gone down, but we're looking at Bell County because that number just keeps going up. We have around 396 customers right now impacted by this weather, and I'm guessing, Matt, like you said, it's a lot of that rain, possible flooding in that area. But those are the more larger areas that have the most outages right now. But for now, we'll take it back to you.
All right, Sade, thank you for that. And again, we're looking at the radar, and you're looking at different things here. Josh, what have you been seeing as you go through this?
We have these storms seem to be intensifying down towards the Georgetown area too. Can't help but wonder if this boundary we speak of, and it's going to be interesting because that's going to be closer to the boundary. Yeah, we have the tornado warning storm here that's in Robertson, and as well as Falls and Milam County. But you can see right here closely, Matt, and I'm drawing that bad. Let me pull a different thing to draw here. We'll go ahead and use the trough feature to draw this real quick, so bear with me. I think that you can see the boundary right here for one. And I think it probably stretches back here as well, because notice how that red has started to really increase, and you're starting to see a little bit more of a curve to that storm just southeast of Gerald. I've got to wonder if you got another embedded supercell starting to form there on the south end of Bell County that could go into Milam County.
What he's talking about, folks, is right here. And we'll have to watch these little notches in this main line. And you can see, at the very least, I think strong winds are starting to develop across eastern parts of Williamson County. That will be making its way into Milam County. So if you live anywhere from Cameron down to Rockdale, we're going to have to watch these storms closely, as these could traverse the boundary. And once they get into the warmer air, I think that's where we start to see the spin increase with these thunderstorms across the Brazos Valley. So again, we're going to have to watch those very closely as they make their way farther off to the east. But one thing we're also noticing as well, there's a lot of clustering of thunderstorms right now. And when you have a lot of thunderstorms fighting for the energy, that tends to lower the severe weather threat just a hair. But we need something like this. If you see it all by itself, it has nothing to the southeast of us. This one can ingest all the energy at once. And that's what it's been doing, and that's why it has been sustained for so long. It hasn't had any competition around it. There are other thunderstorms developing near Bryan College Station, so it will be interesting to see as these thunderstorms start to interact with it. Let's broaden our horizons just a little bit. Once it starts interacting with these showers and thunderstorms, how that is all going to play out later on this afternoon as that works its way off toward the east and northeast. So these are moving off to the north-northeast. These are moving more to the east-northeast as you head along the main line. And again, very heavy rain moving into Temple right now. That's probably going to last here for the next 45 minutes or so. And that will possibly produce some street flooding in and around Temple. New flash flood warning also for you folks in Williamson County, especially in and around Georgetown. Continuing off toward Taylor, that will produce some very heavy rain in a short amount of time. So flash flooding likely starting or imminent here in the eastern parts of Williamson County. This heavy rain will continue off into Milam County for you folks in the Cameron area. So right now it is 11:33, still have the tornado warning ongoing here, but still a struggling supercell with any tornadic potential right now, and that's the way we want to keep it. Still could be a lot of wind with this as it still works its way off to the east. But again, they've kept the tornado warning going. It has been, we haven't seen any significant tightening of this as of yet. So again, this is something that the Weather Service is probably, since it's 11:34 now, we got 11 minutes, they're probably going to let this just kind of ride through 11:45. But hopefully we will see the tornado threat continue to come down just a little bit from when they first issued this, and we will see this become more of a wind threat. Remember, wind is wind. Whether it's coming straight at you, whether it's rotating, we have that. Yes, Josh?
And remember, we were talking about the fact that those storms may catch up to the boundary further south. The Weather Service now looking at a spot in Williamson County, heading into Milam County, that they're watching between Granger and Taylor. So that's kind of what we were talking about, Matt. Let me see here. Granger and Taylor. So it's probably right here.
Right there.
Where that's
just south, just east of 95.
Let me move this out of the way so you can see it better.
Southeast of Granger. So that'll be a spot. That'll probably be our next spot. However, it has a thunderstorm that's formed out ahead of it. Will that affect this? Will it merge with this and actually fight for the energy? That could happen as well. So a lot of things happening in the atmosphere right now. Storms are going to be duking it out with each other, see which one takes over. But this will be the next one to watch as it continues off toward the east-northeast. So if you're in the Cameron area, this is going to be about 12:15 for you or so as this makes its way off toward the northeast. So that's in the next 40, 45 minutes, and then it will continue to work its way to the east from there. But if you live anywhere across far northeastern Williamson into western Milam, right now this is a heads up. This is, let's keep an eye on this. There's no official warning as of now, but it will be getting closer to that warm front, and things can change in a hurry, especially on days like today, especially when this moves through the warmer air.
And they're going to replace that tornado warning with a severe thunderstorm warning for Falls, Limestone, and Robertson County. So good news there. But I've been told Caleb has a good shot, or is telling us he has a good shot of the storm. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 25 Storm Wrangler. Caleb, if you can hear me, where are you at? Where are you looking in relation to this storm?
Yeah, Josh, well, good shots are all relative, I suppose. This is about as good as we're going to get for the moment because we are at 1373 where it meets 6. So we're a little southwest of Bremond looking back towards Wilderville for what would be that hook part of the storm. And everything is absolutely nondescript. I mean, it's the grayest, lowest thing you can imagine. Even the lightning bolts, the cloud-to-ground lightning bolts, there's a lot of them out there, but you can't even see the bolts until they exit the clouds about 500 feet out of the ground. I don't know if you can see that on that picture, too. You don't even see the bolts until they're just above the treetops. Everything is so low and grungy. But that would be the direction. We'd be looking back at that hooked part of the storm, which I hear they're going to let that warning go and continue with a severe thunderstorm warning. But I suppose if this is the one y'all want us on, we can back up to Bremond and head northeast out of there. Or if you think it's just the boundary's not cooperating, we can dip south. But that's where we are near 1373 and 6.
Yeah, let's take that one for now. Looks like the hook is becoming redefined again. They're near Wilderville. So maybe going toward Bremond would be good. So let's get you into the Bremond area as this thing continues in. But again, it's very murky, as you can see there. And low clouds out ahead of this is going to make this very hard to see until it is literally right on top of you. But we have kind of a new hook developing here. They're going to let the tornado warning expire, but again, that can always change. But we will watch this. Could be some strong winds right here, far northern parts of Milam County, crossing the river, and then making its way into the Hammond area. So get ready for at least some strong winds out of this thunderstorm as it makes its way off to the east. But there's a little bit of a hook here, but notice how it kind of goes back down that way. That tells me that it's still struggling to organize as of yet. Let's go to let's go to our velocity products and just see here exactly what's happening in the lowest levels of the thunderstorm. Not seeing too much, maybe a little bit of inflow right there starting to come on in. So we'll watch that. That's right where Milam, Falls, and Robertson County all come together. So it's right on that little tip of Milam County. So we'll continue to watch that little area of inflow there. But as of now, no tight rotation with this, and we haven't seen any as long as this tornado is right at the very beginning of the tornado warning, and then it just kind of petered out as it works its way farther east. But again, it may be cycling up once again, so we'll continue to watch that. At the very least, you're going to see some stronger winds with this thunderstorm as it works its way off toward the northeast, and a little bit of hail associated with this as well. But it's mainly over rural sections of Falls County now, approaching Highway 6. If you've been out there, if you've driven that, you know how rural that is as you get in closer to the Bremond area. But folks do live in and around there, so we got to let them know what's going on. Back into Bell County, we do have a flash flood warning in effect for Bell County right now. That's where we do have some heavier rain that's back into the Bell County area. And you have something?
Yeah, we've got a video. I'm being told this from the back map. We have video of Temple Mall flooding now, speaking of Bell County having heavy rain. So see if we can see that. See if we have that here. Oh, trying to get it cleared.
Okay.
It says cleared right there, so. Okay.
Anyway, we're
I don't know if
looking
we
at
have
this.
that yet, Matt, but we will have it.
All right, so in and around, let's go back to Bell County, and in and around Bell County again. We're getting that very heavy rain. Colleen, you're pretty much done with the heavier rain threat as of right now. It's more toward the Temple area and points toward the east, and it's moving right over the radar site as well. So you're going to see the reflectivities come down just a little bit as the heaviest of the rain's moving right over the radar. We call that rain fade, and then it'll start to brighten up once again. But very heavy rain in and around Temple. That's going to last another 20 minutes, and then that's east of you, and we're probably pretty much done for the day. There could be a few isolated cells that develop later on this afternoon closer to I-35, but I think the main threat of this is going to push east of Bell County here over the next 30 to 45 minutes, and it will primarily be over into our eastern counties and then down into the Brazos Valley as well. Heavy rain also going through McLennan County. Again, kind of a sloppy Tuesday lunch hour as of right now, but that rain too will start to come to an end as it makes its way to the east here in the next hour or so as that moves across McLennan County. So tornado warning for the next 4 minutes or so for this one, but it does appear that they're going to let this just be a severe thunderstorm warning as we get closer to 11:45.
There's your latest velocity map, Matt, and the wind may be increasing on the backside of that a little bit. And again, that's where we were watching a little bit of the inflow. So maybe it's a sign that we're seeing a little bit more wind come out of the backside of the storm, and that could sometimes enhance a little bit of spin. But in this case, nothing imminent by any means. It is still something to watch, and that's why we've got our Caleb Chevalier out there in the 25 Storm Wrangler, keeping an eye on it, trying to position towards the Bremond area, Matt, to get a better view of that storm. You saw his view earlier. He was just to the northeast of Bremond near the intersection of 1373 and Highway 6. That's Southern Falls County, south of Reagan. So there's the loop on that storm, Matt, and again, it's still a supercell. It's still healthy. Just thankfully not ingesting that lower level rotation just yet, although it is opening up a bit more on those last few scans.
Yeah, it is. So we'll see if the inflow increases right here. But notice instead of a hook more into this, we're seeing this go kind of away from it. So as of right now, not wrapping up. So that is good news. If we see this start to go in like that, that's when we would start to really look at that, Josh.
And so I'm looking off screen here, and granted, this was probably 30 minutes ago, but the wind coming into that in Hearn right now is 15 minutes ago, or 30 minutes ago, rather, was 13 miles per hour gusting to 20. So it has inflow coming into it.
Yeah. So we do have at least some wind going into it. And again, it's all about the boundary today as it makes its way off toward the east. Does it stay just north of the boundary, which lowers the tornado threat? If it gets on the boundary, that would increase the tornado threat. So it's going to be playing with this for the next few hours as it works off to the northeast. This supercell may make it all the way to Buffalo and beyond. So again, a long track supercell that's been working here, but it hasn't really been able to ingest the most unstable air, which is down to the south. Other showers and thunderstorms here near Wixon Valley, making its way out of Bryan College Station. That's continuing to make its way off toward the north as well. Nothing I can see really with rotation in that. So that is good news. And again, that will be interacting with this thunderstorm here as we make our way into the next hour or so. So it'll be interesting to see how all this interacts together. Then the thunderstorm coming out of Williamson, still no warnings associated with that. So Josh showing you there, that moving up, and the one coming out of Williamson and Southern Bell. No warnings with that as of right now, so that's good news. I think the cell out ahead of it kind of got ingested with this thunderstorm as it works through. And you can see where the wind shift is. Do that again. Green, red, green toward, red away. There you go. A classic look at the wind going right there over the top of the radar site in Granger and then continue to work its way. So you'll see more red starting to show up as that blows away across eastern parts of Williamson County. So we are seeing the main thunderstorm blow right on through, but it could be some gusty winds.
We do have that video coming from the Temple Mall, Matt. So, Sade, what's the latest on that?
Yeah, Josh, we actually cleared this video a couple of minutes ago. This is from Colton Sylvester. This is behind the Temple Mall, the loading dock there. But as you can see in this video, you can just see how much rain Bell County is getting. And I want to give you an update on the power outages in Bell County because it's gone up. Actually, over 425 customers without power right now. Falls County just went up to over 1,200 customers without power. But of course, if you do safely do so, by the way, if you do see things in your neighborhood and you want to send us those pics and videos, remember that's news@kxxv.com or just send it to our Facebook. We will have to clear that with you and then we can feature it in the show. But again, safely do so. Stay safe out there. I'm going to send it back to you and Matt. Josh.
All right, we're watching this part of the storm here on the Live Radar Network. One thing I've been noticing, because I've just been investigating things behind the scenes, which is sometimes what you got to do with these storms, is we are seeing an increase in velocities. What I mean by that is the wind within the storm, and in this case, this is not necessarily rotation that's increasing, but rather wind that is coming out of the storm right here on the back side. So something we are watching closely there. That could be a sign we're seeing an enhanced risk of 60-mile-per-hour winds coming on the backside, and that's going to be rolling into Hammond and Bremond there in northern Robertson, southern Falls County, which is why they kept that warning still in place, Matt. We still have a hail and a wind threat with this storm, though the tornado threat may be going down. That actually is probably decreasing the tornado threat even more, seeing that come across.
Yeah, so we'll watch that, see if that continues. But let's go ahead and take a break real quick. Tornado warning has expired now. So we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, reorganize here, and we'll be right back at you.